Matt Bernier, Mike Beer recapping the True North, which has just gone official. And Roy H., we talked about how impressive he looked in that most recent start out at Santa Anita, but it was on a wet track. You always want to take that with a grain of salt. Boy, he whistled in this spot.
Yeah, let's say wow. 108 and 2 for this horse. Yeah. And we talked about the pace before the race, when we talked about the race beforehand, and you knew there was going to be a lot of pace in it. This horse did not luck into this win by sitting out of it and come with a run. He contested this pace 4 wide every step of the way, and he sprinted home. He was very impressive today.
And they did. It was an honest pace. It was 22 and change, just a shade shy of 45 for a half mile, and he just kept going on with it. And it's one of those things, too. We talked about earlier on how you may have mentioned, and we kind of agreed that the inside may not be where you want to be. It's worth noting that most of the horses that made their move were a little bit off the rail. But, boy, Roy H. earned this thing, and you got to assume that if this is what he's turned into, now maybe the gelding process is really what has woken this horse up, because I know what Roy H. was in Southern California before he was gelded, and now all of a sudden he looks like a different animal. If this is what he is now, you've got to look at him as a major contender.
That's 100% true. If this is what he is now going to be, then going forward, he's a factor in all these big races. And listen, it's Peter Miller. Maybe they take him back to California, keep him out there, but wherever they run him, as long as it's sprinting on the dirt, I think you want to take him pretty seriously. He was really impressive today. You're right, off the rail the entire way, but boy, you got to give him a little extra credit, contesting a fast pace the entire way and staying on at the end. Stall walking dude, he did what he always does. He came with a big run. He tried really hard in here. Roy H. was not letting him into the race.
And I'm glad you brought up Stall walking dude. He is just the most honest horse that you're going to find. He's going to show up and run his race. Sometimes it's good enough, sometimes it's not. Unfortunately for him today, there was a horse that freaked on him. Let's talk about Whitmore, the defeated favorite. He would trail the field throughout. I don't have an issue with the way that he was ridden, knowing how fast they were going. He was just kind of even down the lane.
Just seemed a little like he wasn't sharp in this race, sort of getting outrun early, which maybe isn't really him. And then, all right, so he picked up third at the end, but to me, he was just sort of running when the race was already over. Not a whole lot from Whitmore today. It was a big step in the wrong direction for him.
And it'll be interesting to see if we exit this race, if there's any excuse for this sort of dull effort, because all along it sounded like the goal was the Belmont Sprint Championship at 7/8 of a mile. After today, between Roy H. and knowing that Mind Your Biscuits is waiting, I wonder if they're going to reassess.
I'd be pretty worried about Whitmore wherever he turns up next. This was not a good performance, even though it may look fine in the running line. He finishes third in a fast race. He didn't do a lot of running in here.
Roy H. absolutely whistles in the True North, and you've got to think bigger and better for Peter Miller for this newly gelded horse.